So Governor Hickenlooper, welcome to Rivet Software.
What a delight. Glad to be here.
You can kind of see there's a multitude of colored t-shirts out here. So I'm going to kind of share the Rivet story with t-shirts. And the story sounds something like this. So in 2003, Mike Rohn and Emily Huang started this company. Mike had a goal to revolutionize financial reporting and ensure that data transparency is available to every investor, not just the investor that pays the most. When he started the company, they spent about 6 years developing the most innovative software out there. And that's the group that's wearing white t-shirts. So there's about 17 folks here that worked with Mike and Emily from 2003 to April of 2009. So all you guys raise your hand. 17 hands. Right, there you go.
Old souls.
So then at that point, there was a mandate that requires that all publicly traded companies have to now present their information at XBRL so that the investment community gets a clear picture of what it is that they do. At that point, we decided to ramp up the sales team, and we brought in a phenomenal group of sales folks and our initial group of compliance taggers. So we had 17 people in that first pool from 2003 to 2009. From April of 2009 to April of 2010, we have all our folks in orange. And that's a group of about 34 people. And every one of those folks did something for the first time. They came into positions that nobody had ever done before, kind of like pulling that first pint coming out of the brew pub. And since April of last year, so in the last 13 months, and we actually had your predecessor here about a year ago, and it was the orange and the whites then. And since then, we've added about 240 folks, hopefully helped the job numbers a little bit here in Colorado. And we were able to do that because there were extraordinary people willing and able to jump in and take a chance. So that's the group in the black. Congratulations to you. So that's the story of Rivet. A year ago we had 44 clients. Today we have over 1,250. And within 60 days we'll have about 1,600 active clients. We've grown a great staff. We've done remarkable things, and we are the most exciting and innovative company in Colorado, so we wanted to have you come down and say hello.
Well, I am delighted to be here and to sing out some congratulations, give Patrick the kudos he deserves for taking, anytime you're going and you've got momentum in one direction and you're going to try and change the direction even a little bit, but at the same time accelerate, it's the hardest. And I'm going to guess that Rivet will go through this process several times in the next decade. And we did it when we opened the wine coupe, and it wasn't just so we're clear. I got laid off. Let's be honest. Let's call a spade a spade. I was a happy-go-lucky geologist flying all over the West, and the price of oil collapsed. And over a couple of years, it just got worse, and our company got sold for the assets. We all got great severance. Now, should you ever be laid off, I don't think that'll ever happen to Rivet, but we got 2 years severance. Just so we're clear. Let's just say it wasn't the end of the world. But it was the end of a career because I couldn't find a job. My industry was gone, and so that's how we ended up in the brew pub business. And ever since then, I've loved several things. One is I love the process of innovation, right? And how an idea like this goes and grows, and then there's a unique moment in time where there's real opportunity, right? You've had an idea, and all of a sudden, the federal government decides that everybody, should be required to have their full presentation, all their documents and data available to everybody, right? So to the press, essentially, so that it can all be thoroughly examined. And there's a little rush. There's only, 4 or 6, I don't know how many, 8 companies that even have the potential to compete. But there's almost always one company that has the right culture, the right people, folks willing to do whatever it takes in that window of opportunity to take that preparation and what originally has been a good idea and really expand it and make it a successful venture. And that's what we did in the wine coupe, right there. We didn't know that suddenly there would be that beer would become this hip thing for a couple of years. Of course, we were lucky again. Beer became hip, and then we had a pool hall upstairs. That became hip, and then in the end, they put the most popular baseball stadium in America 2 blocks from our front door. So it's better. You got to work hard your whole life, but it's better to be lucky than to be good. But what you guys have done is exactly that same thing on an even larger scale. And I think what my job as governor, one is to make sure that we don't have red tape, that we have, if you guys need to hire 174 new employees in short order, that we do whatever we can to make that hiring as efficient, put people together with jobs that work out. But we also have to begin to rebrand the state as a pro-business, pro-innovation place where cool stuff happens, right?
So XBRL creates transparency, and that's something that we care about a lot here. We ask about it, and we kind of look at data from public companies and see if it's really creating transparency. So my question to you is, how does our state, and you as our governor, create transparency today in our state?
So are you referring to in like the budgeting process?
Budgeting process, tax dollars, where are they going? What do we do for our state to see where the transparency is, and what are we doing?
Because we could tag up the state budget and then everybody would have access to it. And we could do that right here in Colorado.
I have no problem. I think transparency to a large extent is valuable. When I was mayor of Denver, the first couple of years, people complained that we didn't let the police data, crime reports, we didn't let them be on a granular basis down on the neighborhood level, and we only released them 3 months after the end of the year. And these neighborhood activists were just a pain in the neck. They were, all right, so it wasn't the neck, they were a pain. But they kept saying, why can't we get this real data? You guys are making decisions, you're shifting police officers around based on these crime reports. You've made a big deal about how you're mapping crime in real time and moving deployments. Why are you afraid to let the public know the facts? And we agonized over it for about 6 months. And the reason no one's ever done it before, I don't think anyone had ever done it before in the country, is because it allows every neighborhood activist to call their city council member and yell at them, every time there's a little ripple in crime. Well, in the end, what's wrong with that, right? So we did it. We did it 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago. And for the first 6 or 8 months, there was a big hubbub, and people were all upset about this and that. And then the public became more educated, and they realized that there is going to be a level of crime. What we're looking at is how do you change the growth? You want the level of crime to be declining. That's the grail that we were holding ourselves to, constant improvement in every neighborhood, right? And lo and behold, that education process and getting so many people paying attention to it, I believe, had a material effect of helping us accelerate the decline in crime. And we had 7 straight years of declining crime. Part of that's the public paying attention, being aware, calling in, not being afraid to witness. So I'm all about transparency. I do worry sometimes in the funding and budgeting processes, just so we're clear, that private interests, special interests is what they're generally called, but high impact lobbying groups go in. And in the old days, 20 years ago, before every congressional budgeting committee was public, every meeting was public, a congressperson would go into a meeting, and they'd come out, and the 4 or 5 special interest lobbyists said, well, we didn't get what we wanted. Yeah, but I lobbied for you. I did the best I could, but it was difficult. I mean, the congresspeople would go in, and as a group, they'd decide what they thought was best. Now, the congressional representatives are much more vulnerable to the specifics of the intensity of special interest lobbying. And they'll be the first to tell you that oftentimes they have to support budget items or decisions that they don't think are the best, but they know they'd get killed in a primary, that all these different special interests around all these different decisions would gang up on them. And it's tough. Again, I'm still for transparency, but it's...
So I think this is one of the places, though, that so we're actually at the forefront of lobbying the federal government to so that they tag up their federal budget. And I think if Colorado's going to be innovative, we could be the first.
Let's go to work. How much will the software cost?
Well, we have a special Colorado discount we're running through the end of the month. Tim will sign you up. All right.
Rivet will soon be growing from roughly, 400 to over 1,600 customers. We've done a great job, but are we ready?
I think that's for you.
I think that is for me.
I'll answer that one. You darn well bet you're ready.
So that is a good question. We are growing exponentially. The reason I know we're ready is because of everybody here in this room. When you look at what we've done in the last 30 days alone in the mutual fund space, where we've grown from just 200 filers to over 2,300, when you look at the level of success that we've had from going 5th place in the market to 1st place in the market, it's because we have the best product out there, we have the best process out there, and I know without a doubt that hands down we have the very best people out there. So congratulations to each and every one of you. We are absolutely ready. We are absolutely going to crush August. and we will remain the strongest and best company in Colorado. I really appreciate it, guys. That was a fun.